A chapter on sex.
Yeah.
Of course you do. That's important. And the demons try, this is interesting. Why do they do this? The demons try to sex proof the marriage so that there would be little or no sex. On page 111, encourage her to dispense sex as if it were a precious or a scarce commodity. I thought that was clever. I like that a lot. Why? Why do the demons care? Like, they want to tempt you to sex before marriage and extramarital, but in the marriage they want to tempt you away from sex. What's going on there?
It's just very important to me to make it clear that inside of a marriage, sex is a thing that the demons would not like. It is a thing that knits the heart of a husband and wife. It has the potential to bathe everything in butter, basically, just make everything better in the marriage. And it's, if the patient is doing what the demons want, she's dispensing it as a way of controlling, a way of withholding blessing until he does what she wants her to do. I mean, until he does what she wants him to do. That kind of like the sort of withholding praise, just withhold good things from him until he, as your way of improving him. So I think that's the very kind of demonic logic. And you give me what I want, and maybe I'll give you some of what you want. And what the demons don't want is for the wife and husband both to see sex as a blessing, as a joy, as a recreation, as the thing that blesses them both for years to come and makes everything about their relationship better. So to see it as it is a duty, and it should be taken on as a duty. You do this because you've been commanded to do it. Sometimes that's why you do it. But it's also a delight, and it needs to be a delight for her as well as for him. So
very critical thought, in my opinion, from the standpoint of what she highlights at the end, if you will, duty and delight. Like that's because again, how does it, when we had that conversation now, we threw the whole baby out, or we don't even realize even the way specifically how we teach women about, in a sense, saving themselves, even the way we do that. We've talked about this on the show, the psychology of hearing that in the manner that we demonize sex. Like that's how a lot of women are taught that. And so I never thought about it until somebody said it on my show, but once she comes into the marriage, all her thinking around sex is around it being demonized. Like even having to overcome that ends up playing a role in them not having a great dynamic in sex because nobody ever highlighted the delight that it should be as well, right? So in current times, the word duty sounds crazy in current times. But I wanted to contrast this clip with the last one where we heard the obligation, where people are just obligated in having sex before marriage. I would like to highlight, if you are going to get married, that changes. But we're not taught that as much now in current times. The idea of duty, and not just holding to duty only, because as she said, it embalms the whole marriage, if that makes sense. And so I want to actually do a shameless plug and highlight my book, because I talked about this 10 years ago in my book, and I wanted to ask, because my book is set up for dialogue. So I'm going to read this piece and ask you a couple of questions, but it absolutely, I think you'll hear how it relates to the cut. I'm being a little funny with it, but
go ahead.
Right. This Back Socrates Speaks. This is titled Sex, Infidelity, and Marriage. It's written in November 2015. Sex secret for married women from a single man. Mothers, teach your daughters that if they get their husbands off every day, he's less likely to get off elsewhere, and that's real. I know this will make plenty of queens upset, but notice no men will read this and disagree. The key to this secret is the everyday part. So please, no stories about how your previous husband would sleep with you and his mistress on the same day. Yes, that happens, but again, the special sauce of this secret is entering the marriage and never creating the habit of skipping sex. Some men do not want it every day, lucky you. But when he does, make it happen. Before marriage, my best friend's father told her, baby, if you're not going to give him none, you might as well become a nun. All the men in agreement, please say aye. Ladies, the ayes have it. Plenty of women will argue their husbands are okay with sex once or twice a week, or they should be happy with that. The truth is, he hated going from the daily sex you had before marriage, but had to accept less after you became the mother of his children. Truth be told, when you first started refusing him, you could have just laid there and he would have been okay with that. I know it sounds crazy and you still feel like it shouldn't be this way. However, I'm sharing this not because of how it should or should not be, but because I'm simply stating how it is. This may be appear as if I'm placing the onus of infidelity on our queens. However, I'm not justifying a man or woman stepping out. Although this little gem, like it or not, will help a sister out, and especially your daughters, if you teach them this. I am simply speaking to the reality of testosterone-filled men and the wives who smartly make sure their husbands are not leaving the house sexually frustrated with high testosterone levels. The husband receiving daily sex doesn't have to compete with his own nature when his sexy coworker makes her daily advances. If he cheats despite having regular sex with you, he just wanted to, and there's nothing you could have done. On the other hand, the good brother who accepts his once-a-week sex, if that, is sent out daily, testosterone levels through the roof, and expected to resist the sister who goes hard because she sees his faithfulness as a challenge. Queens, believe it or not, that good brother does not want to ruin, for example, 10 years of marriage, the equivalent of 3,650 days for 1 day of new pussy. Advice to men. If you are married and can't openly agree with this post in front of your wife, please note that you can help your queen oblige you daily by being on point with completing your honey to-do list. You can't really expect your queen to work, maintain the house and kids with only a little help from you, plus provide you frequent sex. Lastly, this is a two-way street. So if you're not satisfying your wife, she may become sexually frustrated, increasing her chances of infidelity. The most significant difference is that women are typically not driven by their nature to seek out sex. Her hormones, estrogen, usually do not control her in the same way our hormones, testosterone, control us men. That is why weak men assault women, but that's an entirely different story. Just my 3 cents. All I ask is that you think. So the first question is just simply, which statement did you appreciate the most and why?
So I'm a wife and I'm a realist. So first of all, I appreciate the whole passage. And I think that, it was laid out in a way that was non-threatening and that was funny and that was lighthearted. But I think the thing that stuck out to me the most was the part where you said that women go from sex every day with their men when we're dating, when we're in relationship, to then this very stark contrast once we're married. Because for women, marriage is the prize, right? We're doing all the things to get married. And then once you get married, you stop doing the things that you did. And then when there are breakdowns in the marriage or men do go out or their behavior changes, we're like, well, we don't understand. You changed. What happened? Well, you changed too, sis, right? You changed. So he has to change as well. And what I really hear you saying in that is something that I tell clients all the time is that we can take the word duty and change that to maybe responsibility for it could be a little easier to digest.
Fair enough.
But you have, and it doesn't matter to me, duty, responsibility, whatever.
Right. But no, absolutely.
Right?
That's because what's the point, right? If we're going to use the word for you to miss it, that's on us, not on them.
Right. And so you do have a responsibility to nurture the needs of your partner when you are in partnership. And if his need is sex and yours isn't, then that is still his need. Just because it's not a need for you doesn't mean it's not a need for him. And that gets to be nurtured. I think that something really interesting happens with women. And one of the things that I actually coach my clients back into is being seductive, right? Not demonizing your sensuality and not only using it for manipulation, which is what I think the clip was talking about as well.
Right.
Rationing out sex. I'm not going to give it to you as a punishment until you do whatever. So now you take this beautiful, powerful, healing, connective tool that we have and you make it bad. You make it punishment. You make it something that is out of reach, which changes the psychology around sex and how we operate. So now I don't even enjoy sex with you as much. And I may go out to find someone who I can have sex with that is fun and free and liberating as well. But teaching women that it is okay, and not only is it okay, it's healthy for a man to want you in partnership. And there is nothing wrong with that. And that it is healthy for a woman to want to be wanted and to be seductive and to seduce your man every day, whatever that is. I talk about what I call the morning sex man.
Okay.
And I say to women, when you're dating, this is the man that you want to attract, right? Because the morning sex man, he is ready for you immediately. He wants to please you every single day. He wakes up with you on his mind, and his day is made better by opting into you. That is who you want, and that's how you want to show up in your relationship.
And he be marrying that woman because they be giving it to us.
There you go. Exactly.
That's what they be giving it to us, right? That's what they be married. And be like,